Hi everyone, welcome to the Spring 21 edition of Hunterdon County Farm to Fork. I'm Sandra Grenzi, Family and Community Health Sciences Educator for Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Hunterdon County. And today we're going to be talking about spring greens. I hope you caught Megan's video last week on greens, where she talked about the cultivation and about all the different varieties of early season greens. In particular, she was talking about lettuce. So we're actually going to be using lettuce in our recipe today. But before we get to that, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the types of spring greens that are available now that we might want to be using in our cooking. So I really like to think about spring greens into two main groups. I like to think of the lettuce group, like Megan talked about. And for lettuces, we can talk about head lettuce. So classic is iceberg lettuce. Everybody knows that that makes a big, firm head. But there are also some other softer, I call them softer head varieties. They're probably not the right agricultural term. But I'm going to be using today this really delicious butterhead lettuce. So this very tender butterhead lettuce. So it makes a loose head. And then, of course, there are these elongated type heads. This is, of course, romaine lettuce. And rather than being round, it forms sort of a tight-packed, elongated head, if you want to call it that, or grouping of leaves. I'll also be using one of these really nice, firm leaves from the romaine head in our recipe. So we have all those different kinds of leafy lettuces, but then we also have another group of spring greens that are in the brassica or cabbage family. So I went out to my garden. I happen to have some very beautiful kale. This is curly leaf kale. And I grow this in the spring and fall. Frankly, it's been coming up so beautiful this spring. I might just do it every spring. And I also have some baby spinach, very young, small leaves of spinach. And I like to grow these small leaf varieties rather than the larger leaf. I really like them really tender. And I also went, actually in the other leafy green family, I forgot that I had grown escarole out in my garden. And escarole is tremendous in soups and stews. So there are so many different kinds of lettuce, greens, and greens that are like kale and spinach and collards and cabbage. And the family of greens is so versatile in cooking. Some of them do really well fresh. Some of them do better cooked. But today, we're going to be doing a fresh recipe with leaf lettuce. But before we do that, I want to talk about the nutrition that's in this overall grouping of vegetables. So leafy greens are just packed with great nutrition. And overall, their standout nutrients are vitamins A and C and K, and an important other vitamin, vitamin B9, called folate. They all have varying amounts of fiber. Generally, the tougher the leaf, the more the fiber. So kale, for example, is a really good source of fiber. There are also other minerals that are associated with greens, particularly dark leafy greens. So minerals like calcium, iron, potassium, copper, and manganese. So eating leafy greens, especially the darker ones, can really provide great overall nutrition in terms of vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Okay, and stay tuned. We have the trivia question that I'll do at the end of the video today that actually asked about a particular nutrient that's in dark green leafy greens. So our recipe today is really simple. I wanted to focus on using just fresh lettuce leaves. So we're going to be doing a very simple tuna salad recipe, no cooking, but you could actually do this recipe with any kind of a filling that you want in your lettuce leaf. So some people like to make Asian style fillings, so maybe chicken or pulled pork or beef with spices or rice, and you can cook that filling and then just serve it on one of these really leafy green platters. But we're going to dispense with any cooking today, and we're just going to make a really easy, fast tuna salad to put on our leafy greens. So I have a well-drained can of tuna. I have some red onions. I'm just going to add that to the tuna, and some nice chopped celery, and some nice shredded carrots. So we have a lot of color in this. Now I'm not going to be using mayonnaise in this particular recipe. You could, but I'm going to just be topping it with a light balsamic and olive oil dressing. So I don't want to really mash this up. I want to keep it kind of whole. And then I'm going to add some interest and additional protein by adding some cannellini beans. And I have to say, these are canned cannellini beans. They are one of my favorite varieties of beans. I just love that they are so soft and they blend into so many different recipes. Okay, so all I did was gently mix those ingredients together into a light, sort of like a chunky tuna salad. And then I'm just going to add my balsamic and vinegar dressing, just lightly, just to moisten it a little bit and to keep everything all together. It couldn't be easier. This literally takes 10 minutes. Now you could season this up with any seasonings that you want. I am not going to add anything except I brought some fresh parsley from my garden, which I will top these with, and some black pepper. And I've also brought a beautiful sliced avocado that I'll top this with. So we've just made a very loose tuna topping, and I'm just going to put some scoops onto my romaine leaf. Here's my romaine leaf. And over here is my beautiful butterhead lettuce leaf. So I'm just going to put some of that on there. These leaves sort of have little indentations that hold the salad really nicely, like a little cup. Okay, that's all I'm doing there. And then I'm just going to be topping with a slice of beautiful ripe avocado. And one of the reasons I decided to go without mayo on this recipe was because I'm adding fat in the form of healthy fat from the avocado. So I really don't want to have a lot of extra fat, just a little bit of olive oil, like I said, to moisten the tuna. And now a sprinkle of fresh ground pepper. And voila, we have less than 10-minute, really easy tuna lettuce wraps. One thing that's really nice about serving tuna this way without bread, for example, is if you have diabetes and you're watching your carbohydrate intake, this can be a relatively low carb lunch or snack. In here, we really just the beans are the source of carbohydrate. So it can be, you could pair this with some fruit and a glass of milk and have a really nice low carb lunch or snack. So that's how easy it can be to use your beautiful spring greens in a healthy recipe. So before I forget, let me answer the trivia. I hope you've been following the trivia questions that go along with the Farm to Fork videos. So my trivia question for my video today was, dark green leafy vegetables are a good source of this nutrient, which has been shown to reduce the risk of birth defects in developing unborn babies. What is that nutrient? And I mentioned it before. The answer is folate, or vitamin B9. The recommended amount of folate for adults is about 400 micrograms. And a diet rich in dark leafy greens and other fruits and vegetables like oranges and melons and strawberries, and some fortified foods such as cereals can contribute to adequate folate intake. Now, pregnant women and those who are trying to conceive may need additional folate intake in the form of a folic acid supplement. So it's always good to consult with your physician or healthcare provider if you're pregnant to see what the guidance is on added supplements. But for the general population, leafy greens can be one great way to increase your folate intake. So I hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Spring 2021 Farm to Fork series. And I hope you join me next week. I hope you join Megan next week. And we look forward to seeing you all season as we march through and present all of the readily available seasonal produce for you to enjoy. So we'll see you then.